The 1981 Daytona 500 was a race of risk and reward. Significant changes in the cars and the rules defined the unknown nature of this race. The risks were numerous, and the reward, a purse of nearly $800,000, was obvious. As stock car racing has always done, the 23rd running of the Daytona 500 featured cars that were part of the fabric of America.
North American stock car racing is absolutely unique in the field of motorsport, a true piece of Americana. But economic conditions have dictated that the size of the cars you drive out there on the highway have got smaller, and the same is applied to these guys here. But that downsizing has not been easy for these drivers. The cars are shorter and narrower, that makes them more twitchy, more nervous, and this boxier shape means the aerodynamics are not as good either, so they've had a lot of trouble in qualifying. NASCAR, which is not normally known as being flexible, has changed the rules twice, but these cars are still dangerous and can be very unpredictable.
Unpredictable indeed. Johnny Anderson, Massillon, Ohio, out of control in one of the twin 125-mile qualifiers on Thursday, literally flying this cars into this series of sidewinders. He was unscathed. All he lost was his car and his wristwatch in that incredible crash. And then just moments later, Johnson City, Tennessee's Johnny Saylor out of the same turn two against the same kind of wind we have today.
Well, in fact, even worse, because the headwind today is very, very strong as they turn into that back straight, and as they come around turn two, it's going to be very, very problematical for them.
Covering the race with us today will be Ned Jarrett, 2 times a Grand National champion, 50 times a winner, and he's standing by with the front row cars right now.
Ken, I don't think there's ever been as many unanswered questions going into a 500-mile race as we have today. As a result of those 2 crashes and other things that's been happening during the week, NASCAR has changed the rules twice. Once since they've been on the racetrack. Since it rained yesterday, they didn't get any practice. And the rule changes dealt with the spoilers on the car, hopefully to put more pressure on the rear of the cars to stabilize them so they wouldn't lift off the ground as we saw those 2 cars. Sitting on the front row here today are 2 distinctively different cars. This is the car of Bobby Allison, which has a sloped rear window. Everyone feels that it will run better in the draft because of the aerodynamic design of the rear. On the outside is Darrell Waltrip's car. As you can see, has a straight rear window, and the air flows straight across it much faster and does not put the pressure on the rear deck lid that he feels that it needs. And Darrell is one of the drivers that's very concerned here today about the handling qualities of his car. And you mentioned the wind. That is a factor here, could add to their problems.
By the start of the race, all eyes were on the new spoilers.
Buddy Baker in the red car, number 1 there, lying in 4th spot. He's trying a different spoiler today, and this is the first test laps he's given that spoiler. I tell you, he's a brave man to make a major change like that before a 500-mile race without trying it first.
Maybe the changes in the spoilers helped. Maybe the drivers were extra cautious. Either way, the 1981 Daytona 500 was a clean, fast race. Bobby Allison's Pontiac took the checkered flag in his qualifier, and he would lead much of the 500.
Will Bobby Allison be the second man in Daytona 500 history to win the pole position, the qualifier, and then go on to win the Daytona 500?
During the first 180 laps, the lead would change 49 times between 9 drivers. Neil Bonnet led 15 times for 26 laps. Buddy Baker, Ricky Rudd, and Dale Earnhardt were all leading at one point, but it was Bobby Allison who regained the lead 20 times, leading for 90 laps of the race.
Unrelenting, Allison surges back in front.
At the halfway mark, the battle continued with a remarkable number of lead changes.
On this restart, Bill Elliott has the lead after the pit stops. Elliott, one of those cars in the lead lap in front, but only for a moment. Here's Bobby Allison again going back in front. Neil Bonnet back into second. Position those 2 have favored all afternoon. Dale Earnhardt into third, and Richard Petty stays in striking distance with number 43.
It's very significant to see him so close to the lead at this halfway stage of the race. And obviously, a 6-time winner of this race can never be discounted. I must say I feel a bit sorry for Bobby Allison. He came here with a very, very clear advantage, and to his chagrin, the NASCAR officials really made it easier for the other cars, and I think that's why they're keeping up with him as well as they are, quite frankly. If they'd left it as it was when he arrived, I think he'd be long gone.
While leading late in the race, Bobby Allison made a necessary pit stop under the green flag. He coasted into the pits as he was running out of gas. After filling the gas tank and changing 2 tires, he was back on the track.
They changed the 2 to right side tires.
Other cars in the lead pack followed suit, except for the Buick driven by Richard Petty. With 170 laps complete, he was the new leader.
See, guess who in the lead of the Daytona 500? Car number 43, Richard Petty, 6-time winner in this Daytona 500.
But Petty still needed to pit before the end of the race. Here's where the King showed his mettle.
Everybody has made just 2 tire changes, so it looks as if the status hasn't changed appreciably other than that coasting stop that Bobby Allison made. Let's see if he can get it back.
Let's see if Richard Petty will come in this time. Looks like he's coming down. He is getting ready to come on pit road.
On lap 176, Petty's crew took a calculated risk, adding only 1 can of gas and no new tires.
In the business, Dale Inman, the crew chief on this car, Maurice Petty, his brother, directing the traffic here as they go to work on the rocks. They're not changing tires. A change of pace here for the Petty crew. They're only adding gasoline and either way.
Petty was able to hit the pits and get back on the track still in the lead. Only time would tell if the gamble would pay off.
Can Petty run this set of tires to the finish and win the 500? We'll know shortly.
They did a 6.8-second pit stop, and that's what's given him this race. It looks like he's going to win by about 6.5 seconds.
Car number 43 and the STP pit crew had bet it all and won, as Richard Petty proved he was still the king, beating Bobby Allison by 3.5 seconds. After the race, Richard Petty summed up the winning strategy.
Dale and them just out-figured them a little bit. You know, we run all day long, we run with them, we couldn't outrun them, they couldn't outrun us. We just outsmarted them in the pits, and that's what won the race.
In a year full of controversy, car changes, and rule changes, Richard Petty risked it all to win and received the ultimate reward. He won the Daytona 500 for an unprecedented 7th time, a record that still stands today.